By the time they actually start making income, they're much later in life, and so they feel this need to catch up.
You want to invest with someone that is totally transparent and upfront, and that's how we are. If people want to come look at our books, we're open books.
Welcome to 1912 Capital's Deal by Deal podcast. I'm here with Damon and Court. So today we're going to talk about a specific group of potential investors. So obviously, Court, you are a physician yourself. Let's talk about doctors as investors. Good, bad, ugly? I don't know. What do you think?
Thanks, Lexy. I think that's a great topic, and I'm excited to chat about it because there's actually people on both sides of it, right? But I think some people think doctors are just bad investors, which some of them are, obviously. And some think that they're amazing investors, which again, some of them are, so there's kind of a spectrum. Interestingly to me, a topic has come up recently of like physicians being worried about investing with other physicians. So I think that that's an interesting topic to discuss too.
Okay.
So, and I think some of that has come from maybe lack of knowledge, really, or just bad experiences. So I don't know, David, what do you think? What do you think when you think of physicians as investors?
Well, I think, like you said, there's a spectrum, right? But generally, I think physicians make great investors, especially for what we're doing, because what we're doing is so safe and easy, and it's consistent, and it provides great cash flow, right? Which is what a lot of investors make. Typically, are looking for, at least a lot of the physicians that have invested with us, they're high earners, but they also are working a lot, and so they need something that is completely passive, completely hands off, but provides that consistent cash flow and consistent return for them, so they can see that their money's growing. It's not, give us a chunk of money and then in 5 years later we'll give you something back and hopefully we'll meet our projections. It's consistent growth along the way, and so I think. For us, the physicians that we have in our fund have been great investors for us.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that we've had great success with physicians.
Yeah.
And I think the ones that have invested are intelligent and do their due diligence. And that would be kind of my take on it, is that I think it's really important for physicians to be able to, at least on a basic level, understand what they're investing in.
Right.
And I think a lot of times physicians are so busy that they do make decisions that are kind of a distracted decision where they're just, so-and-so said I should do this, so I'm going to do it, right? And I think that that's a bad way to invest, regardless, whether it's a stock tip, crypto, or an alternative asset like us that's, something for us, we're stable, steady, secure, but there could be people that are claiming that are not. So I think you do need to do your due diligence on the operator.
Right.
And we've discussed the operator as being key.
Yeah, it was interesting. We went to a conference a couple of years ago, a physicians conference that we presented at, and we spoke to a lot of people about their investing strategies. And I didn't realize this, not being a physician, but they spoke about having gone through medical school and how long that takes.
Yeah.
So that by the time they actually start making income, they're much later in life than, say, somebody that just gets a 4-year degree and then starts earning. And so they feel this need to catch up, right? To catch up on their investment. And so sometimes they're maybe riskier with their investments, or they are more aggressive with their investments than they should be because they're trying to catch up so aggressively. And so I think Court's right. And then the other thing is, I think sometimes we think because I'm not a physician, but I'm a physician, he's a physician, so I can automatically trust him.
Yeah.
And that's true to a certain extent, but you can't let that be your entire investment thesis, right? So you actually, you have to do your due diligence. And I think that is why sometimes physicians investing with physicians can get a bad rap, because they think that because this guy's a physician, he must be really smart, he must know what he's doing, and they don't do the due diligence that they should.
Yeah, and that brings me to a topic of a deal by deal, as we call this podcast, that you've got to look at it deal by deal.
Okay.
And there are physicians that have had success in one deal, and then they think that means, the next deal they're going to have the same success.
They can just carbon copy it.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's true. So I think you need to look at, sadly, not to say we're old, but people with decades of experience, So we are old, and we have been doing this for decades. And I think that that's key, that you need a physician who, especially if it's an alternative asset or a change from what they've been doing. Because physicians, may be great doctors, but just not great at whatever else that they're then selling or pitching. And some of these are gurus that really what they're pitching is education, or, they're not really pitching their investment, so they don't really care about the investment either. Yeah. Whereas for us, if we're bringing you in as an investor, that's our whole business model. We aren't selling you on some course or education model also. We're looking for true investors who are serious and want safe, reliable returns. That's what we want. So
yeah. What about other high net worth individuals? I mean, we're talking about maybe attorneys, entrepreneurs, people who maybe do have that money to invest, but maybe they're not the best business people necessarily, or they're not necessarily as engaged with what you guys are doing here with 1912 Capital.
Right.
Do you find that other individuals can also be great investors? Is this an across the board thing?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's similar. I think a lot of those high net worth individuals are really good at one thing. You might want to talk about business owners. What do you think about business owners? It's interesting there. You have an opinion on this, so go ahead and share it with the world.
Well, because Damon, that's your background, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
it is.
So,
it is
so
my
speak to
background.
that.
So, and interestingly enough, I own and run this business. And what we've seen with most business owners is they believe that they can run their, start and run a business and make more money than they can investing with us. And that may be very well be the truth.
Yeah.
Because they can leverage themselves. It's difficult for doctors and attorneys and some other professionals, engineers maybe, to really leverage themselves because they may be super high earners. Their hourly rate is through the roof, but if they're not working, they're not earning.
Right.
Versus running a business where if I'm not here working, we've got people out there right now that are looking for loans, and I have people that are servicing our loans right now while we're talking, and so I can afford to be doing this. But if I was a surgeon, I would need to be doing surgery right now to be making money. And so that's why it works so well for, like you say, attorneys and doctors and other high earners like that. We think that our investment is great for anybody. We would love to have more business owners in the business as investors, and we do have some that have invested with us. But we do find that really it's people that are earning, they're trading their time for money. That's where we get the best bang for our buck.
I was gonna say, can you touch on that a little bit? Because I know we've talked about this in the past, that kind of doctor burnout.
Yes, absolutely. I was hoping you'd ask that actually, because I think that's key too, is that that does create some fear, I think, or some emotion tied to investing, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we really, when we talk to physicians or any professional, I think that's something we bring up, that you are going to eventually burn out. It's just part of it, right? So, or you're going to retire, and either way, you're going to need passive income. So that's why we are really a great solution for a lot of these people, is that we can produce, if they want income, we can pay, a really high return that's stable and steady and continues as long as you have the capital invested. So it's a great thing. But I think that they do kind of worry just about how they are going to replace their income, and it's appropriate. You do need to worry about that. No matter what industry you're in, it's part of it. But as physicians, like he mentioned, it's you've built something that is built just on you, unfortunately. So it's depending. There's a few that can build bigger businesses and can sell those, which I was able to sell my practice and have sort of an exit there. But a lot of people can't do that too, depending on especially if they're just employees of larger healthcare systems. Then they're kind of stuck with hopefully a pension or some retirement plan. The other important thing I wanted to mention is just that the focus that I think all investors has been really traditional, and that they think, stocks and bonds, that's the way. Stocks and bonds is the way that I'm going to invest, and that's how I'm going to continue. That's what I learned growing up, and that's what I'm going to do. That's what my parents did. That's what I'm going to do. And the really smart, wealthy investors, that is not their mentality. They've really shifted over the last, I'd say, decade. Even institutional investors have shifted over the last decade to really alternative assets as being a big, big part that you need to have as your portfolio.
Diversification, as they say.
Yep. And it's always been diversification, but now it's even a broader diversification.
Totally.
And so as an alternative, we're a big piece that, like he mentioned, even business owners would be smart to put a piece with something that's, real estate backed, true asset backed, steady, secure, not directly tied necessarily to the stock market, So.
Well, and it's interesting because we've talked about in the past technology and how technology has changed our business, but it's really even changed the way that people can invest, because I think before people didn't have access to these alternative investments, right? Unless you knew somebody, you weren't hearing about these deals, and so they just weren't available to you. So you knew about stocks and bonds, and so that's where you invested. And I think now with internet and with social media and just the advent of technology, now you have this much larger platter of things that you can choose from. And so I think that's a lot of why alternatives have become so much more a part of everyday investors' portfolios.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting that some people don't even believe that we can pay 10 to 12% almost guaranteed. You know, it's just such steady, stable income that they're like, well, the banks can only pay 4. How can you pay that?
Right.
You know, so they're so not exposed to these types of investments that they don't quite grasp it or believe it. So eventually, with time and education, they do come to understand that it is truly an amazing asset. So
yeah. Okay, so we talked about making sure you know the investment that you're going into, getting that education, getting some guidance, maybe using technology or AI. Anything else that you would say to a physician, an attorney, a software engineer, somebody who's looking at alternative investments? Anything else you would tell them to do before they dive in?
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Well, I think anytime you're investing money with anyone, you have to make sure that you trust them, right? So I think that's the number one thing. I mean, the deal has to be great, the return has to be, safe, but you really have to trust the person that you're giving your money to. And so I would just make sure that you really get to know them, understand them, do your research on them, make sure that you know what you're getting into.
Go to 1912capital.com.
Absolutely.
Watch all of our videos.
Yes.
And I want to just add a little bit. I mean, I think he's perfect. Operator, key, know and trust, like he mentioned. And then the second piece of that is transparency. I think that you want to invest with someone that is totally transparent and upfront. And that's how we are. If people want to come look at our books, we're open books. Come and see. If we have problems or mistakes or loans that are going bad, we're going to tell our investors that. We're open and upfront about that. And I think that they can appreciate that and then understand that not everything's going to go perfect. But we're so diversified and large enough that you'll still get your full return, and so that's the amazing thing, and that we can share open book and just do that, and they can know where their investment is actually going. So.
Right, because something's always going to go wrong. It's just how you handle it.
That's business. That's life.
It's just
How you
life.
handle it.
It's
Yeah.
how you
Exactly.
handle it,
Yep.
right? So don't hide it, just handle it.
If you happen to be a physician or a dentist or a attorney or any sort of professional that's thinking about investing in alternative assets or private credit, we would love to talk to you at 1912capital.com.